it is competition every time these guys step on the field, every time they snap the ball.
There's no question. There's a winner and loser every time we play on Saturday, and we got to try to make it as much like Saturday every practice we have, and realize that we're playing to win a ball game. Now, there are going to be times we get knocked down. There are going to be times we lose, and you got to be able to get back up after you lose a battle and go back to work. And the guys have done a nice job this spring. We're starting to get it, and then we're at the end of spring practice. So I'm feeling, this last week or so, I'm starting to feel like we're turning the corner and understand what we want. But that's a good sign. I'm looking forward to fall camp already.
Well, let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about some positions. I don't know, maybe I'll start at quarterback. Sounds like there's a pretty good battle going on. Sounds like it's a horse race.
There are two guys that have kind of separated themselves, Nick Stevens and Coleman Key. Both have done a nice job of making plays in practice situations, scrimmage situations. Coleman probably has a little better numbers in the scrimmage. But at the end of the day, I'm looking for a guy that's going to get us in the right plays, run and pass, keep us out of bad situations, lost yardage situations. Got to be an accurate passer and hit his targets. And then, he's got to have the belief not only in himself, but the other guys have got to believe that this is the guy that's going to lead us to a championship. Now, I don't expect that guy to have that day one. We got to do a good job as coaches of building these guys' confidence. So when we get in conference play, these guys are ready to compete for championships. Anytime you got a young quarterback, you got to be careful about his confidence.
All right, and they have started a little bit early here, so we will pick it up right now. And Nick Stevens has the first-team offense at the 47-yard line in the territory of the defense. And here's a pass out to the far side. Deontay Gaines, an over-the-shoulder catch along the sideline, forced out of bounds inside the 30 at the 28-yard line, setting up a first down. And, Brian, we're getting a quick look at the no huddle. So right now we're watching the green team, the first-team offense, against the gold team, the first-team defense, and the offense has marched it right down the field. First play, by the way, was a reverse, so that was fun to see. Inside handoff, the ball carried inside the 25, and Kevin Davis able to make the tackle there. Dawkins, the ball carrier. And this becomes a 2nd and 6 following that gain of 4. We can see Nick Stevens looking to the sideline, getting the play call from the offensive coordinator, Will Friend. Dawkins is the lone setback, wide receivers each way. They have a slot on the left. Dawkins, they fake a handoff to him, throw it out to the tight end, Nolan Peralta. And down the sideline he goes, inside the 15, forced out of bounds to the 12-yard line. And, Brian, this first-team offense is marching right down the field.
Yeah, and one of the things you will notice, you mentioned it, Gary, they will go the no-huddle exclusively here this season, and that's one of the things that Mike Bobo, Will Friend have been preaching. These guys have got to pick up the tempo. They got to understand at the pace we want to work. So far, so good for the first team.
Dawkins again alongside the quarterback Stevens. Gets the handoff off left tackle, spun around inside the 10 to the 8-yard line. Upended there by Steve-O Michael. And Steve-O on the defensive line in a defensive end position. Redshirt senior from Orlando. 2nd down and 6. No huddle again. And here's a pitch. Here comes Dawkins down the right side. Turns the corner. Gets to the goal line. Touchdown. Well, that was a pretty impressive march down the field. 75 yards by the offense against the first-team defense. And we saw Dalen Dawkins not afraid to run between the tackles and also showing the speed to run outside as he takes it in from about 8 yards away. And the offense on the board, they lead 6-0. And again, in this scrimmage type situation, they will line up, just kick the extra point without any kind of defensive line on the field. In fact, only the snapper, the holder, and the kicker were on the field, and the ball was booted right on through there, I believe by Garcia. And now it's 7-0. Well, nice start for the offense. But what about that defense, Brian? Something has to be done.
Yeah, blow it up. Good mix of run and pass there for Colorado State. And, yeah, they're going to line up in the no-huddle. They're going to go fast. It's going to be a quick tempo. But that doesn't mean they're going to come out and throw the football 50, 60 times a game. They still want to be balanced. And as Will Friend will say, we still want to be a power-running football team. And we saw a reverse on the first play of the game. Some nice strikes from from Nick Stevens, finding Deontay Gaines in the left flat. Beautifully thrown football to allow Gaines never to break stride and turn upfield. Hit Peralta on a little out in the flat on the near side of one of those. And again, the running game at the end of it with Dalen Dawkins, the transfer from Purdue. So if you're head coach Mike Bobo, you can't be any more pleased than that with the opening drive.
There's a kicking battle going on, and Kyle Jacobs kicks off. And again, in the scrimmage, they kick it off, and there's only the return man back. It was Deron Thompson who made the catch, and then they blow it dead. So some of the rules that we're watching here today, 4 12-minute quarters. So some of the highlighted things. The clock will run like a normal game clock. Punts will be versus the air, so will extra points and kickoffs. The last 2 minutes of each half will be treated like a 2-minute drill, and the quarterback is not live. In fact, he's wearing the old Aggie orange jersey to make sure that nobody lays a hand on any of the quarterbacks. Coleman Key is the quarterback, gives it off. Now it's the second-team offense against the first-team defense. And a handoff there went for a yard or two off the right side as Key with the quick handoff. Got a yard or two on the play. That was Thompson, the ball carrier. Second down, let's call it 2nd and 8. And Key is in the pocket. And he throws, and that pass is batted down. Pass was intended for Jordan White and Deontay Clyburn, one of the linebackers, able to get in there, batted away, setting up a 3rd down and 8. 8:50 to go in the first quarter of play. And the green, with the first-team offense, leads the Gold 7-0. Let's see what Coleman Key comes up with here. He's running the second-team offense, fakes the inside handoff, slant pass, and that is wide, intended for Sammy Long. Long slanting over the middle, around the 37 or 38-yard line, but the pass thrown wide, and it's 3 and out for the second-team offense against the first-team defense.
Yeah, Gary, you had mentioned some of the players that are not going to be out here today. Don't expect to see Rashard Higgins and a few others. And for more on that, let's send it down to Marty Cesario.
Yeah, guys, that, in a situation here where we're in spring game, we want to see looks and hear about some of the top players, especially the ones we recall from last year. Rashard Higgins, you mentioned, is out, the junior wide receiver, who we know so well. So does the rest of the nation. Jason Oden Jr., senior running back, he's going to sit a little bit. DeAndre Elliott, senior DB, off the first-team defense. Martavius Foster, senior D lineman. And then Kyle Robinson, the linebacker, also just hanging out on the sidelines, getting a look and a read on what's going on here for the spring game.
Yeah, all those guys banged up just a bit. No sense risking anything this time of year. The punt is fair caught by Joe Hansley at around the 33-yard line. So we'll get our second look at the first-team offense now. An offense that marched down the field 75 yards with ease. And again, first play of the game was a reverse. So one thing about Mike Bobo, he said we want to be able to run it when they know we're going to run it. We think that's a key. We also have to stop the run. We want to be physical. But he also has a few plays in his bag of tricks, and he showed one right off the bat. Now the Rams will come out in an I, a slot receiver to the left side. Now they shift. Stephen Walker tight on the right. So the Rams playing with a fullback. That's Fapito. Play action. Stevens pump faking, lobbing downfield for Jordan Vaden. He's got it in the defense's territory. Caught the ball at the 41-yard line before he was knocked down on that far sideline by Brandon Henry.
That's a good read by Stevens. He initially wanted to go into the left flat to Joe Hansley. Little pump fake, thought it was covered, and then lofted it up for Vaden, who has all the physical skills in the world.
That play good for about 27 yards. Quick out, thrown to Hansley, and Tyree Simmons wasn't fooled a bit. Tyree up to make the tackle right at the 41-yard line, loss of a couple on the play. So they threw a wide receiver screen, but there were no blockers in the area. And Hansley caught the football on this right sideline. It was just him against Simmons, and Tyree made the open field tackle before Joe could get any kind of head of steam going. 7:32 in the first quarter of play. Blitz on. And Stevens' pass is thrown wide of Vaden on that far side. A blitz by the outside linebacker Copeland. And again, he can't hit the quarterback. The quarterback's wearing orange. If you hit the quarterback, you get demerits. You go to timeout. You're in a lot of trouble. But nonetheless, a blitz forced Stevens to get rid of the ball before he wanted to and force that incompletion. 3rd and 11. 3 receivers to the left side, 1 to the right. Defense jumps offside, and they're going to let him play anyway. Quick screen, and Kevin Davis is going to knock the receiver, Treyas Gerald, out of bounds at the 33-yard line. So they let the play go, even though it appeared the defense had run out of been offside.
Offside. Defense number 90. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
All right, so Joe Kowalik jumped the gun, and perhaps they did blow it dead because they wound up calling the penalty after all.
You see Treyas Gerald, the running back here on the second offensive set for the first team offense. After Dalen Dawkins, who was on campus last year and sat out per NCAA rules, was a starting running back in the first offensive series.
Goal defense showing blitz. Stevens backs off, checks with the sidelines. Again, watching Will Frent, the offensive coordinator, giving the play call. 3rd and 6. Stevens sets up a screen. Ball caught by Gerald, but breaking through was Trent Matthews. They couldn't block Trent, and he makes the tackle after a loss of a yard on the play. So Trent Matthews able to knife his way through there, and he refused to be blocked by Nick Callender. And that sets up a punting situation. And again, these punts are not live. It's the punting team out there and just one man deep to receive the punt, and then they blow the play dead. But again, Hayden Hunt, who averaged almost 44 yards a punt, he is back. But the Rams have some work to do to find a replacement for Jared Roberts. And there are multiple candidates. And Mike Bobo told us a couple hours ago, we expect to see some more candidates show up for training camp this summer. High end over end, not very deep by Hunt. Fair catching on the far sideline at the 10-yard line. Ball caught there. And I believe they're going to bring the ball out to the 25. We'll see. The fair catch was made at the 11. And they are going to bring the ball out to the 25-yard line and start the series from there. So Coleman Key and the second-team offense will come out for the second time.
Might be able to get some perspective on that kicking game. Jared Roberts is over here with a few of his buddies. Also, I got Bernard Blake that we can talk to in just a few moments.
All right, we are going to actually start at the 20-yard line. So the second-team offense out there from the southern to the northern end. Slot receiver to the left side. Key with play action. Rush on. Avoids a potential tackler. And now in the open field finds running room. Breaks a tackle, and they'll whistle it dead as he found himself in the open field around the 35-yard line. So Coleman Key showing the ability to roll out, make a tackle or miss, and wind up getting a first down. They blow it dead at the 31-yard line.
That's amazing how much room you find to run when you're a quarterback wearing an orange jersey and nobody can hit you. But a little bit of athleticism shown there for Key.
Key in the pocket. 3-step drop. Has his man wide open. 50, 40, down the sideline, the 30, the 15, the 10, the 5, and that is a touchdown for the second-team offense.
I believe that's Elroy Masters Jr. Yeah, it's just a blown coverage by that second-team defense as Key saw Masters sit down in that zone. There was nobody around him. Masters got the ball, turned right around, and realized there was nobody in front of him and the goal line, and used his speed to go all the way. So after going really nowhere in their first offensive possession for that second-team offense, they strike on the big play here on their second offensive possession.
And then it's Berto Garcia out there to add the extra point. Yep, Elroy Masters Jr., he has switched from number 80 to number 88, redshirt freshman from Peoria, Arizona, and really had not participated very much this spring. He'd been nicked up a little bit, but out there and able to catch that touchdown pass from Coleman Key, and this game tied 7-7 between the green and the gold with 6:09 to go in the first quarter.
And I think Marty Cesario down on the sidelines right now.
Yeah.
Marty, who do you have?
I'm standing next to Jared Roberts. You've done spring game. That's an interesting look to describe to everybody. He goes and kicks the PAT. Nobody's around him, just him in the center. What's that about?
Yeah, I think it's good when you're definitely working with younger kickers, especially just not focus on the other guys. go out there and just worry about the three of you, because in the game you want to block those other guys out anyway. So it's good for the young kickers to just get some practice.
At what point do coaches install the other guys on the field to give you that real look, a live football game?
Yeah, I think they've been doing that throughout the spring. I think maybe just getting used to it in the stadium, but it's not a big deal then installing those other guys. Just blocking them out as a kicker and worrying about the 3U, getting that operation right.
You owned the kicking game here at Colorado State for a while. Now there's new guys out there. What's the biggest challenge being a new guy booting the football for a D1 program?
Yeah, I went through that. Everyone's got to go through that transition, but they got 3 or 4 good kickers actually all competing for the job, and competition makes everybody better. They're all hard workers, all strong legs, so I think whoever, steps up, I'm sure the competition will go throughout the fall, and whoever steps up will be ready in the fall to help contribute to the team.
You did a little stepping up for Ram fans. Just one more question. I joked that I was going to present the Utah State reel, that game-winning kick last season. You've got some plans coming up. Can you just share with Ram fans what your agenda is in the very near future?
Yeah, so, 12, 13 days until the draft. Hopefully be drafted. If not, go the free agent route. Try to find a situation where I'll be able to compete for a job, and then, rookie mini camps and that kind of stuff start up right away. So just looking forward to the future. It's coming close, so good to get out here with some of the other guys and just relax before the draft's coming up.
There you go. I can see the smile on your face when you talk about it's getting real. Colorado kid who's done so many great things for the CSU Rams. Best of luck, okay? All right, appreciate that. Jared Roberts, guys.
All right, here's Stevens throwing to Eric Williams, who makes the catch along that far sideline, over the 35, out to the 39-yard line, about 14 yards on the play, and a first down on that third down play. So Stevens to Williams out of the backfield for a first down, and the best of luck to Jared Roberts. He was a terrific kicker here, kid from Mullen and Littleton, Colorado, and we hope he gets drafted. We wish him the best of luck in the NFL. Stevens now under center. One setback is Williams, and the deep handoff to Williams hits a wall right at the line and nowhere to go. He's pushed back by that defense. Pierre Copeland was there. Getting up from the bottom of the pile for Colorado State was Jacob Baez, a redshirt freshman from Arvada and Ralston Valley High School, and one of the Ram defenders shaken up on the play. And, you worry about that in football all the time. You worry about it in practice. You worry about it in games, and certainly in a scrimmage like this, you just don't want to see any injuries. And right now, it appears to be Baez who was shaken up and down on one knee on the field, being attended to by the training staff.
Jacob Baez had a beautiful interception last week at Dove Valley, that 109-play scrimmage for the folks down there in Denver. Boy, he was dropping back in coverage from his defensive line position, able to bat the ball up in the air, make the catch, and then proceed to run 50 yards the other way. Remember, Jacob Baez was the man that came up with the big block of the punt at Nevada last year, and it helped Colorado State jump out to that big 31-7 lead, a game in which they had to hold on to win. But Jacob Baez, get out of Ralston Valley, and boy, he seems much, much bigger than he was a season ago.
All right, second down play here, 2nd and 9. Football at the 41-yard line. Stephen Walker is the man in motion. And here's Stevens, and he throws a bubble screen, far side, ball caught, I believe, by Hansley, who carries it over the 45 to the 49-yard line, knocked down just short of the first down. 9 yards on the play, 3rd and 1 coming up. We have a correction. This will happen in games like this. We thought Elroy Masters had caught that touchdown. He's number 88 in our program. Turns out Xavier Williams is wearing number 88. Congratulations to the X-Man who scored the touchdown. Handoff for the first down. Carrying the ball to the 45-yard line of the defense, the goal defense. And a first down for the first-team offense with 4:41 to go in the first quarter of play. Game tied, green 7, gold 7.
And not only did the jersey have number 88 on it, it also had Elroy. It has Masters Jr. on the back of it as well. So literally, Xavier Williams took Elroy's Masters Jr. jersey and put it on and is wearing it today for whatever reason.
Well, I've been around teams that like to do that in practice. They'd wear each other's jerseys, but I hadn't seen it in a game. But this isn't really a game. Oh, Stevens threads the needle. Treyas Gerald's 20-yard line to the 19. Gang tackle there. That was a very nice throw by Nick Stevens. As he looked downfield, saw Gerald's had found a seam in the zone and laid the ball right in Treyas' hands over the defender right around the 20-yard line. Fine pass about 30 yards in the air and a first down for the first-team offense.
Yeah, and that was actually the second read, too, for Nick Stevens. He was looking to take a deep shot down the field with Cole Anderson. Saw it wasn't open, went to the check down, and beautiful throw.
Out of the eye, they give it to the fullback, and the Ram defense was ready for that one. Terry Jackson and Joe Kowalik were not about to be stopped. We're mixing and matching, as you can tell, first-team offense, first-team defense. We have some of the first-team offensive players in there now with what is allegedly the second-team offense. But in any event, that run didn't go anywhere as the defense was right on top of it. That was Nate Reichen carrying the football, wearing number 47, redshirt freshman from Berthoud. Second down and 9. Stevens steps up in the pocket, throws, slant pattern for the end zone for Vaden, and they've got a touchdown.
Boy, was that a strike from Nick Stevens. Blitz coming from the outside. He was able to step up in the pocket and elude it, and then just threw a dart to Jordan Vaden. And great to see Jordan Vaden come down with that catch. That is not an easy catch for Vaden. Had to really extend the body, extended the arms, stabbed it out of the air. And listen, and I mentioned a moment ago in the broadcast, Jordan Vaden has all the physical skills you want in a collegiate wide receiver. The one place he has struggled is catching the football. And you remember a spring game 2 years ago, had a bunch of drops, had some drops last year, fell into the doghouse of the offensive coaching staff, trying to work his way back into the good graces now here of a new staff. And talked a lot about that with the coaching staff here in the last few weeks. A lot of guys are getting new leases on their football lives, and Jordan Vaden's hoping to be one of those.
Wyatt Bryan added the extra point, redshirt freshman from Larkspur, Colorado. So that makes it 14-7 for the green team. And now we'll get the kickoff. And again, the kickoffs are not live. They kick it off, and then they blow it dead. And with 3:20 to go in this first quarter of play. And again, the rain's staying away now. We've had a couple of passing showers, very brief. Do have overcast at Hughes Stadium now as we get a look at these 2015 Rams and get ready for what's going to happen in September. A schedule that will include 6 opponents that went to bowl games last year for the Rams. Rams, of course, going to the Las Vegas Bowl. Deep kickoff there. And that one played about 4 yards deep in the end zone. That was Kyle Jacobs, the freshman from Colorado Springs, handling the kickoff duties. So Jacobs doing some kicking, Garcia doing some kicking, and Wyatt Bryan also kicking as they three battle. And again, we expect to see another potential kicker or two when summer ball starts and training camp starts in August. Savannah State, opening game of the weekend, Saturday, September 5th, right here at Hughes Stadium. It will be underway in the 2015 season. All right, here's Coleman Key running the second-team offense. Play action, lobbing deep downfield, and the pass was thrown behind the intended receiver. That ball, man-on-man coverage, but the pass was not accurately thrown around the 40-yard line of the defense.
I think Coleman Key thought Robert Ruiz was just going to run the go route, and instead Ruiz ran the deep post.
Second down, quick drop and a pitch out to this near side that I believe is Williams making the catch at the 30-yard line. Or is that Ruiz again? It's 89, not 88. Yep. Now they got to wear those jerseys all the way down. This half stuff is not going to work for us. 3rd and 5, quick pitch, and the ball caught, but downed immediately on the play. The pass by Coleman Key was thrown wide, and it was caught by Sammy Long, and Long was going down as he made the catch. So he was fallen upon there, but of course once you're down in college football, your knees on the ground, you're down. And that was a 2-yard gain, mainly because the pass was thrown wide of Sammy Long, and he had a dive to catch it.
Well, they really went up tempo there. Right after the end of the pass play to Ruiz, they were right back up to the line of scrimmage, nearly snapped it immediately, and it was the right play call. It was Coleman Key, though, I think just a little bit of rush, knowing that they were going to go quick there on 3rd down and 5, and just led Sammy Long too much. And on 3rd and 5, I mean, really it was just a hitch. Led him too much. Sammy Long had to dive and go get it. Dove ahead maybe a yard. And obviously, knees on the ground, as Gary mentioned. He was well short of the first down. By the way, Sammy Long was outstanding last week at Dove Valley. Terrific.
Short punt, and Hansley's fair catching at the 40-yard line. And that's where the first-team offense will take over once again. Let's go downstairs. Marty has a special guest.
Yeah, I have an explanation after the Jordan Vaden touchdown. That was what, a quick inside slant? What would you technically call that, you being a defensive back?
I call it a slip by the cornerback. He needs some new cleats. He didn't get the traction that he needed to make the plant and drive on it. So it's a spring game. You're supposed to let that happen.
Way to back up your boys. It's not on the corner. Call the equipment manager. Hey, Bernard, the spring game, what makes it so exciting to be here and be a part of it?
Just being able to stand next to Capri Bibbs, Marcus Shaw, Chris Robertson, Tyler Clark, just the guys who came through this program and helped get it back to where it is today. So it's exciting to be a part of that.
What do you see out there on the field? Obviously your specialty is defensive backs. Are there any guys, a few of them you played with, that seem like they're poised to have outstanding years coming up?
Yes. I've seen great things throughout the whole spring ball. I was able to stop by and watch a couple of practices. And, Tyree Simmons looks great. Trent Matthews, Kevin Pierre-Louis, all the guys you expect and have played some, they look great. And then the younger guys are coming along nicely. Saladin McCullough, Sean Johnson, Marcus Wilson, all those guys will be okay.
How would you explain from what you've witnessed now that you're an alum with the change in the coaching regime? What have you seen?
It's very up-tempo. Coach Bobo is here to win, and that's what you look for as a fan, alumni, or anybody who just pays attention to Colorado State football is a winning season, and he's definitely doing what he's supposed to do.
I often joke with all the things he does, helping out in community service. Bernard Blake could run for mayor in this place, and I think we got the quote. Coach Bobo came here to win, and we are, of course, all here to witness that. Thanks, Bernard. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, fellas, thank you. Corey James, a fine tackle on Dalen Dawkins, trying to sweep to the right side, and James from his middle linebacker spot knifing through to take care of Dawkins before he could get any kind of momentum going, setting up a 2nd down and make it 3rd down and 14 now. On one of the plays on this series, nice pass from Stevens to Joe Hansley for about 15 yards. But this is 3rd and 14, and there's a throw far side, and it's Hansley. Forced out of bounds, short of the 1st down, in defensive territory at the 45-yard line, setting up a 4th down and just about 2.
11-yard gain. We talked about how good this first-team offense has looked so far, Gary. It looks like they're going to go for it here. But on the flip side, it's a first-team defense that desperately needs to stop. They've been getting shredded here this afternoon.
Well, Nick Stevens has been very impressive. And again, defense, a couple of things working against them. Number one, they can't hit the quarterback. Can't really rush the quarterback. So that's a safe feeling for the fellow who's calling signals and wearing the orange protective jersey. Play action, Stevens to throw. Nick throws deep down the right side into double coverage. Hansley covered like a glove, but a flag thrown. McCullough was in coverage. So too was Trent Matthews. And apparently they interfered and impeded the progress of Joe Hansley. And the PI call comes up with 27 seconds to go in this first quarter play.
Yeah, there's no question he was grabbed as he tried to get out of there. And again, they wanted to set it up as if they were going to run the football. And I think Hansley initially off the line of scrimmage looked like it was a run play and then immediately started to break out in the route. And I believe it was McCullough reached out and just quite simply grabbed him when the ball was in the air.
Stevens brings the offense to the line of scrimmage. Football spotted at the 30-yard line. Now he's under center. Here's a bubble screen. That's Cole Anderson, who's played so well so far. The kid from Valor, transfer from Valparaiso, makes the catch. McCullough knocks him down after a gain of about 3 or 4 to the 26-yard line. Again, the hurry up. 12 seconds to go in the quarter. 2 wide receivers to the left side. Everybody else tight. Final play of this first quarter. Inside handoff and grabbing the ball carrier was Kevin Davis. He reached out and grabbed himself some Dalen Dawkins and made the little guy disappear in his arms. They give him progress of perhaps a yard. First quarter is over, and after one quarter of play, the green team with the first team offense leads the gold team with the first team defense 14-7. We'll take a break from Learfield Sports on the Colorado State Sports Network. And we have just passed high noon, one quarter of the annual spring game in the books. Green team leading the gold, 14-7. Green team marching again. Here's Stevens taking a snap, fakes a handoff, keeps it. And they're going to rule him down. And Kevin Davis, I think, is shaken up on the play. And the training staff rushes out to him. Well, earlier we saw Jacob Baez shaken up. And now both teams will head to the sidelines while the attention, and I believe the injured player is Kevin Davis. We'll get the glasses on, but the official's in our way, and so too the training staff right now. Davis, certainly a key to this Ram defense. Junior out of Fountain, Colorado, 6'3", 230. Had 22 tackles last year, 6 tackles already this spring. And the staff out there and Mike Bobo in to take a look. Young man being counted on in his junior year to really become a force. He's gotten quite a bit of playing time in the past, kind of knocking on the door of being a starter.
Yeah, Kevin Davis playing in 11 games last year, 22 tackles and a sack. And you remember his career has kind of been besieged by injuries throughout. Played as a true freshman and got hurt on a kickoff coverage in his true freshman year, blew out his knee, and then it was the other knee. And Kevin Davis has always had that injury bug come up and bite him. Somewhat full season last season in a backup role.
Well, he's going out, Brian. Yeah, he's got his arms around each member of the training staff, but he's putting weight on both legs. He's walking slowly, but there's no terrible limp there. So hopefully nothing serious, and he's going to be okay. Meanwhile, they took the opportunity to just kick and make a 42-yard field goal. So a field goal booted while they were attending to Davis. And I believe that was Berto Garcia. It was kicking a 42-yard field goal. You don't waste any time. As soon as you get the player up off the field, he looks to be okay, go kick a field goal.
Well, you hate to see that. We saw it late last Saturday out at Dove Valley. And some of the goal line drills that they were running at the end of practice where Jason Oden Jr. went down and never really got a clear idea of what the injury was. It didn't look good. I think Mike Bobo said he got dinged, but it wasn't a head injury last week. It was a leg injury, and you hope Jason Oden's going to be all right, ready to work out here this summer and get prepared for fall drills. But you hate to see that any time, but you certainly hate to see it on the final practice, quote-unquote, scrimmage here in the spring sessions.
Well, Berto Garcia will be kicking from the southern to the northern end. And again, these kickoffs are not live. Deron Thompson is the deep man. They kick it and let the team run down the field, let the man receive the kick, and then they blow it dead, doing everything they possibly can to minimize injuries, but you can minimize them, but you just can't eliminate them. High end-over-end kick. Thompson on the run has the ball go under his hands. That would have been a major problem if that were a real kickoff. Ball was recovered by the green team, in fact. But in any event, it'll be the white team, second team offense getting the football.
Well, if that was a real kickoff and Deron Thompson had 10 other players out there with him, it would have been fielded by one of the up men.
You promise?
Davis, Thompson started back on
but
it.
Say it was a real game, and they only had Deron Thompson out there going 1 against 11.
Well, that's a great point.
There you go.
Because it certainly is a feasible situation.
Well, I thought so. Coleman Key out there now. See if he can get something going with this second team offense. They trail 17-7. He's going to hand it off to Thompson. Nice little stutter move over the 25, carrying the football to the 29-yard line. So a gain of 4. Second down and 6. And again, it's play fast. But you have to know what you're doing. You have to understand what the terminology is. And I'm sure Mike Bobo wishes they were playing even faster. They come to the line without huddling, awaiting the snap. There it is. And a screen out to the far side to Thompson, the 30, the 35. Oh, he made somebody miss at the 40 and gets to the 43-yard line. Good open field running by Deron Thompson.
Well, Thompson, a freshman last season, and they burned his red shirt. He was a true freshman and ended up playing in 6 games, 23 carries last season. It's a conversation we had a handful of times last year of why burn his red shirt. Only played in garbage time, but they did, so he's now a true sophomore. Has speed, though. There's no question about that.
1st and 10, play action, pass into the flat, and that one caught on this near sideline by Danny Wosu. And Danny, who's made the transition now from tight end to fullback, able to carry the ball into the offense's territory, the green team's territory, to the 47-yard line, a 9-yard pickup, setting up second and really less than a yard. Key, inside handoff to Thompson, hit behind the line, and let's see, no, they're going to give him progress to the 46-yard line and call it a first down.
You know, sometimes, Gary, there are guys that just seem bigger from the fall going into the spring, and standing on the sidelines a couple of times here this spring. One of those guys is Danny Wosu. I mean, Danny Wosu looks a good 20 pounds heavier this spring.
Key, handoff Thompson, a hole off right guard, goes down when he's hit and put the ball on the ground, but they blew it dead at the 41-yard line. So a gain of just about 4. Second down and 6 now. 9:45 to go in the second quarter of the annual spring game here in Fort Collins. The green team leading the gold, 17-7. Here's a bubble screen. Sammy Long down the sideline. And there he goes. 25-20, 15-10-5, and a touchdown for the gold team. Coleman Key throwing his second touchdown pass. That a screen pass to Sammy Long, who tightrope down the sideline and went all the way about 41 yards to get in the end zone.
Well, Sammy Long is one of those kids who was in the same recruiting class as Rashard Higgins, Xavier Williams, Elroy Masters Jr., and has been the guy that has had the least amount of production. Of course, it was a redshirt freshman last season. He'll be a redshirt sophomore here this season. Last year only caught 1 ball, but I mentioned it earlier. He was outstanding last Saturday at Dove Valley. Had 5 catches, 140 yards, including a 69-yard catch in which he got caught at the goal line, didn't get in. But Sammy Long having a very nice spring with this new coaching staff.
Garcia adding the extra point. Game tightens up. Green 17, gold 14. And we talked about, and Marty mentioned earlier, all the players we're not seeing today. The Rashard Higgins, to show what they can do, and we see a Danny Wosu in a new role here today, and Sammy Long trying to take advantage, and a young man who's turned some heads so far in spring ball, and Cole Anderson, the redshirt from Highlands Ranch, Colorado. So new heroes waiting to emerge for the Rams this year, and both quarterbacks have acquitted themselves well so far as they battle for that starting position. Both Nick Stevens and Coleman Key have had their moments.
You know, Gary, you mentioned the 3 wide receivers right there, and one of the key things to remember when a new coaching staff comes in, everybody kind of starts at 0. It doesn't matter what you did last year or what you didn't do last year, how many snaps you played, how many snaps you did not play. New coaching staff is going to come in, and the staff has said it to a man, that everybody's starting at 0. We're going to evaluate you for how we see you here this spring, how you work. And for a lot of guys, again, we've mentioned that's a new outlook on their football life. Cole Anderson didn't play it down last year. He would be in the top 4 this year. Sammy Long, Jordan Vaden, a lot of guys out there getting a new shot.
Stevens to throw on that far sideline. Ball caught coming out of the backfield. Corey James making the tackle on the play as that ball goes for a couple of yards to Treyas Gerald. Let's go downstairs to Marty.
Well, I wanted to get perspective. Sammy Long, Brian and Gary, you've been talking about him. We know what happened at Dove Valley, just made a big play here. I got to get a playmaker to give me an idea. Why is this kid making plays for CSU here in the spring?
I mean, you got some players, you know, who like just good role players. Then you got playmakers. Playmakers are people who just got the ability to take it to the house at any given time, you know, make a bad play a good play. You know, those type of players you need on your team, though. You know, you need a lot of role players, and you need some playmakers on your team. You know, when things don't look so good, you know, they can make something happen.
And the playmaker I'm speaking with is Capri Bibbs. CSU faithful know him very well. What's the vibe you get from, you know, the coaching change and kind of a new culture here? Have you noticed certain things, getting a read on what's going down at Colorado State right now?
I mean, I think they're really changing this program into a hard-nosed program, you know. I'm watching them in practice, you know, doing Oklahoma drills and everything else like that. I think that's good for college players, you know. And just out here, I talked to Mike Bobo for the first time 2 weeks ago, and he seemed like he got this, and he's very confident, and I like that in a coach. So,
what makes Coach Bobo maybe a little different than Coach McElwain?
You know, I don't know yet. You know, we got to see him on game day. I know Coach Mack was a great coach, you know, and I knew he knew football better than any other coach I've ever met. So, I mean, I can't really say anything about Bobo because I haven't seen him in a game situation yet. So when that happens, then you can get back to me on that.
There you go. Let's say something about you real fast because we like to follow you as Colorado State alums. Where are you at and what's coming up in your future as a professional?
I think it's going to be a real big year for me up in Dove Valley. We switched up to the zone offense up there in Dove Valley. We run a lot of CSU stuff. So, I mean, I think it's definitely worked out in my favor. You know, Kubiak's a great coach. And, you know, I'm really excited for this year. I really am. And I can't really explain it, but I got a feeling.
Well, like we said, you're a playmaker. You got something special about you. Wish you the best of luck. Capri Bibbs, guys, back to you.
Yeah, we do wish Capri the very best of luck. Nick Stevens just threw a pass that Kevin Nutt should have intercepted right in his hands. He dropped the ball, forcing the green team and the first team offense to punt. But always good to hear from Capri, and hopefully he'll show the Broncos what kind of talent he has. Punt fair caught by Hansley inside the 10-yard line. They'll bring it out to the 20 to start for the second team offense with 7:18 to go in this first half of play. And the gold trailing the green 17, gold 14.
If there's one thing Capri Bibbs has never lacked, it's confidence. And I think that was one of the reasons that made him such an outstanding running back 2 years ago for CSU. Really, really confident kid. And of course, declaring for the NFL draft before his eligibility had been extinguished here at CSU. And spent a lot of time on the practice squad last season. I like his attitude. I got a feeling it's going to be a special year, and no question, Ram fans are rooting for that.
Play action for Coleman Key. Buys time, rolls to the right, throws downfield, and underthrows the intended receiver. Boy, he had a man wide open, and he threw the ball pretty much into the ground with that receiver, Trey Smith, open right around the 35-yard line.
Yeah, and he had him earlier in that route and didn't see him. And a lot of that was the pressure coming from the defense, but if he gets rid of that ball earlier, he has Trey Smith, and Smith has the ability to catch the ball, turn upfield, and make a bigger play.
Second down and 10, and a pass out into the flat. Bryce Peters on the receiving end of the pass from Coleman Key, forced out of bounds by Deontay Clyburn at the 27-yard line. A gain of 7, 3rd and 7 coming up now. You know, one difference you hear, at least from the way Mike Bobo and the coaching staff talks, they want to be physical. They want to be extremely physical. And they looked at last year's tape, and they said, you know what, in games against Utah State, even though the Rams won, and games against Boise and a couple of others, even though the Rams may have won, they were out-physicaled in those games. Pass downfield caught and then fumbled and then picked up by Ruiz, who carries it downfield the 20, inside the 10, and is caught from behind inside the 5-yard line. So that pass was caught, I believe, by Peters, who fumbled the football. It was picked up by Ruiz, who was trailing the play, and he carried it all the way down. They say his knee at the ground at the 7-yard line. First and goal from the 7. Key bobbles the snap, now running in place, and wisely decides to hit the ground right at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, snap just a little wide to the right there of Coleman Key, bobbled it, and then obviously all heck breaking loose at that point. Officials come in immediately blowing the whistles with the quarterbacks wearing the non-contact orange jerseys. It was Trey Smith, the Douglas County product, who actually had to catch it. Watching it from up here, and we're high above the field here at Sonny Lubick Field at Hughes Stadium, certainly no replay. I'm not so sure that he actually came down with that ball before he fumbled it.
Here's a lob. They throw a fade into the end zone, and they were not on the same page because Coleman Key threw a fade into the corner of the end zone, and there was not a receiver within 20 yards of it.
Yeah, and that was Trey Smith again. He was going on the slant on the inside, and obviously Coleman Key believed he was going to run the fade.
Sun coming out now. Just wait a moment or two. The weather will change in Colorado. If you're not happy with it now, in the next minute or so, it'll be completely different. Bright sunshine at Hughes Stadium. Third down. And this pass on the far side, that was intended for Peters, is overthrown, incomplete, setting up a field goal attempt, I believe, and we'll see what they choose to do on the 4th and 9. Hayden Hunt is coming out there. He's going to hold. They will kick a field goal from the 17-yard line, 27-yard attempt. And they've got Berto Garcia out there. We've seen Wyatt Bryan kicking. Garcia, Kyle Jacobs. Kick is good. And that means that with 5:19 to go in the first half, Brian Roth, green 17, gold 17.
And to go back on Trey Smith, by the way, Douglas County kid. Really one of the top track guys in the state of Colorado 2 years ago. And it was an outstanding football for Jeff Ketron down there for the Huskies. Played running back, played some defense, was also a return man. But one of the fastest kids in the state, had some pretty good size, standing at about 6 feet. And converting him now to play wide receiver here this year. Redshirted last season. He will be a redshirt freshman coming up here this year. But anybody that watched Colorado high school football 2 years ago and the year before that, and you followed it closely, you knew of Trey Smith. And Colorado State and Jim McElwain went down there and got him. I think a lot of Ram fans probably felt like he was going to be a kid who was going to help this program in 2 or 3 years.
Garcia will kick off from the northern to the southern end. Gold team, by the way, in their white uniforms. Green team in their green jerseys, fortunately. Kick into the end zone where it's grabbed by Deontay Gaines, and they blow it dead. He made the catch about 2 yards deep in the end zone.
What was the spread on this game, Gary?
I think I forgot to check.
Green minus 4.5, I believe.
I meant to. Yeah, I know it's being heavily watched in the Vegas area. Nick Stevens will be the quarterback, and they'll start from the 25-yard line.
It's been an entertaining game so far, though. There's no question about that. Seen some big plays.
Well, I think we have a real quarterback battle. I really do. Stevens has looked very good, and Coleman Key has done nothing, I think, to lower his stock. Here's a reverse. Deontay Gaines looks to turn the corner, but the defense beats him to the sideline and knocks him out of bounds. Januska flying to the sidelines there. One of the first defenders to get them with Corey James. They do gain about 5 or 6 on the play, though. In fact, they spotted at the 32-yard line, so give them 7 yards on the play. Second down and 3, less than 5 to go in this first half. 17-17. Play action for Stevens. Dumps it off. Stephen Walker, the tight end, who had 30 catches last year, grabs this one, gets the first down over the 35 to the 36-yard line. Before he's downed on the play, it'll be first down, and we go downstairs to Marty.
Just wanted to follow up on Kevin Davis, the junior linebacker. You might be able to peer across to this east side here where I'm standing. He is completely wrapped up on that left knee, and he is done. You know, spring game, we're not going to be overly dramatic, but considering the history, it's something to note.
All right, Marty, and we'll keep our fingers crossed for Kevin. As both you and Brian have alluded, he's been injury-prone in his career, counted on to be a key contributor, and suffering that injury. And we're not going to see him again today, and hopefully he'll be ready to go when the team gets back in August. Second down and 6, out of the eye. Play action. Pass near side. Hansley's got it between a couple of defenders. Takes it into the defense's territory. Knocked down at the 46-yard line. Simmons and Copeland making the tackle. Pierre Copeland II, a sophomore from San Marcos, California. Tyrese Simmons has done some good work in his time at Colorado State. Or actually, I believe that's McCullough. Saladin McCullough wearing 14. Tyree wears 5. So McCullough involved on the tackle. Handoff, left tackle, Treyas Geralds inside the 40 to the 39-yard line before he was down. And Geralds, you like to watch him run because he gets to a full head of steam very, very quickly. Patrick Eisenblast making the tackle. From the eye, second down and just about 4. Stevens had his team at the line and then backs off, checks the sideline. He's under center. Wide receivers each way. That's Cole Anderson this way. Play action for Stevens looking the other way. Lobbing, throwing, one-on-one coverage for Hansley. He's got it, and that's going to be a touchdown. Hansley against McCullough. Wide open on the other side of the field, mano a mano. And Hansley reacted to the ball much faster than McCullough did. Grabbed it just behind McCullough and waltzed into the end zone for a touchdown.
Yeah, Joe Hansley, second leading returning receiver for Colorado State. 35 catches last season. Has that playmaking ability, though, doesn't he? And the second that Nick Stevens threw that, it appeared it was going to be a jump ball. If it was underthrown at all, McCullough would have had a shot at it, but it wasn't, and it was Hansley that goes up and gets it, makes a fine play, and is able to waltz into the end zone.
Extra point added, 3:08 to go in the second quarter of play. The Green now leading the goal, 24-17. We're going to take this timeout from Learfield Sports on the Colorado State Sports Network.
That's fine. Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
a minute's fine.
Johnny, if you want to run down scores in the Eastern League, that'll be good.
Seriously. Oh, hey, presenting sponsors. You might want to just mention that coming back.
No, I was supposed to. And back here at Hughes Stadium, 24-17, Green leading the gold. And right now it's the gold with the football. Coleman Key has been on target throughout the first half. Play action, throws over the middle. That ball is dropped in and out of the hands of the intended receiver. And Brian, was that Danny Wosu? I think it might have been.
Yeah, it was.
So Danny.
He started his career here at Colorado State on the defensive side as a linebacker, and then has since moved over to the offensive side of the ball. By the way, the guy on the player on the defense there was Jake Schlager. Good to see Jake. Boy, sprained his ankle in fall camp last year and never really ever made it back.
Yeah, you and I were at practice that day. It was not pretty. Key fires over the middle. It's intercepted. Ball intercepted by Udofia at the 40, 35-30, and out of bounds on that far side. So Udofia able to step in and intercept that pass. And Willie is a redshirt senior from Atlanta. Used primarily on special teams last year, 6'1", 205. Comes up with the interception of the Coleman Key pass.
Man, Coleman Key just flat out did not see him. Udofia playing center field as the safety, and he was looking on the deep slant to Robert Ruiz, and Udofia stepping in front. Ruiz happened to be double covered on the play as well. In fact, when Udofia made the catch, looking at the replay, you could see 4 green jerseys and then a white jersey in Ruiz as Udofia is making that catch. That's just not a very good decision by Coleman Key.
Nick Stevens brings the green team offense up. They lead 24-17 with 2:21 to go till halftime. He's under center. Lone back in the backfield. Defense showing blitz. Play action. Stevens lobbing downfield for Hansley. Ball knocked away and intercepted. Saladin McCullough stepping in. Did he hang on to the ball? No, they say it hit the ground. So McCullough, who a moment ago was beaten by Hansley, that time was right there and nearly picked off the pass thrown by Nick Stevens.
Oh, and Joe Hansley, if that's a real game, was about ready to get stamped by Trenton Matthews.
Handoff, gain of a couple of yards on the play, setting up a third down. We want to thank our presenting sponsors, UC Health and McDonald's. And special thanks to Bob Luther, the McDonald's man here in Fort Collins, for providing the breakfast burritos for everybody here today. So UC Health and McDonald's, we appreciate their participation here today in our annual spring game. Third down play. Stevens takes the snap, under pressure, lobs downfield, nobody out there except a potential interceptor. And the ball's over his head too, and it's incomplete. And Stevens under a little bit of pressure, having to get rid of that football, setting up a fourth down play. Big shoes to fill, you know, when you think about it. And hopefully Nick and Coleman don't look at it this way, but when you have a quarterback who came along like Garrett Grayson did, and I go back to a couple of years ago when we thought potentially Garrett might be wind up being benched. He wasn't playing all that well, and then something clicked, and he got it together and became the quarterback he ultimately became, throwing for more than 4,000 yards and 32 touchdowns, and now certainly going to be picked, if you believe the experts, in the second or third round of the NFL draft. Those are huge shoes to fill for these two young quarterbacks.
Yeah, that was only about 19 months ago.
I know, it's amazing, right? We're doing games thinking, well, he could be in trouble. Will the coach make a change?
And technically, that was an open battle in the fall of 2013 with a true freshman named Nick Stevens and then a junior named Garrett Grayson. Now, I'm not so sure it really was an open battle. Jim McElwain said it was. Didn't really name a starter until the day of the game against the University of Colorado, and Garrett Grayson ended up being the starter. But then you think, 3 games in, you looked at the performance by Grayson on the road at the University of Tulsa, one of his worst games of his career. They had Cal Davis coming in the next week, and we were thinking, boy, maybe Grayson gives way. And here we are now.
Key in the pocket, and they're going to blow this play dead as a procedure call coming up against the green team offense will cost them 5 yards. And again, when you hear Garrett talk, going down to Tuscaloosa, and even though the Rams scored only 6 points that night, they did move the ball pretty well through much of the night. Couldn't make it happen in the red zone, but they were able to move the ball against Alabama, and I think it put a light on for everybody. You know what? We can play with these guys. It was a 14-6 game going to the fourth quarter that night. Key out of the backfield has his man at the 27-yard line. He's ankle tackled there. And that pass was caught on that far sideline for the goal team, Deron Thompson. And Thompson now starts to head off, and he'll be replaced in there by Bryce Peters.
You know, to go back to that Alabama game, too, you mentioned 14-6. Remember, one of those touchdowns was a special team touchdown.
Oh, yeah, they got a punt return.
Yeah. And so, really, they only allowed 7 offensive points. And I think that's where this program kind of made the turn.
Pitch out to the far side. Sammy Long's got it along the sideline. A quick out to the 33-yard line. Gain of just about 4 or 5. It'll be a second or third down. They say second down and 5 coming up. Less than a minute to go in the half. Key throws near side and overshoots the intended receiver. That's Robert Ruiz. And Ruiz was covered downfield on the play by DeMontre Taylor, who's a redshirt freshman from Denton, Texas.
Yeah, and not just Grayson making the turn and turning the corner, but really the program under Jim McElwain, I thought, came away from that game with a kind of a newfound sense of who they were, who they could become, and then, of course, made a nice run towards the end of the year and made it to a bowl game.
Back to throw, it's Key. Far side, Peters has it out of the backfield, breaks a tackle, tight ropes along the sideline to the 41-yard line, winds up with a first down. Needed 5, got 6, so that keeps the offense going. Clock stops as Peters wound up out of bounds with 47 seconds to go. Green 24, Gold 17, and Key in the pocket throwing deep and overthrows the intended receiver, Sammy Long, who was covered very well downfield. No space available there, and that pass was incomplete.
Yeah, and Sammy Long actually stopped on that play, too. I'm not sure why. It was a simple go route. The coverage was excellent, as you had mentioned, but Long stopped, looked back, and then saw the ball being thrown his way, tried to pick up speed again, and wasn't able to catch up.
Yeah, defensive back Marcus Wilson with good coverage there. Pass out on this near side for Williams, broken up by Sean Johnson. Incomplete at midfield, setting up a 3rd and 10 now with 37 seconds to go.
Yeah, Wilson, one of those Valor Christian products. Same defensive backfield, though, there at Valor with some of those great teams with Eric Lee, who is now at the University of Nebraska.
So Key brings his team to the line once more. See if they can get something going in the 2-minute drill. Over the middle, he's got his man, and there he goes. That's Ruiz inside the 30, inside the 20, and is caught and knocked down around the 15-yard line.
That's a pretty good touch from Coleman Key. We've seen the big arm from the redshirt freshman from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, but tell you what, had to get that ball over the linebacker and in front of the safeties. It deft touch, some of the best touch we've seen from Key so far today.
The advance to the 15-yard line, Ruiz catching that ball in full stride. And to the 15-yard line he goes with 29 seconds to go in this first half. So the green team knocking on the door, a chance potentially to tie this game at halftime at 24 if they can get in the end zone.
Well, the offenses have looked solid at times here in this game. And one of the things that Mike Bobo was unhappy with last week, coming out of the Dove Valley scrimmage, with his defense, they gave up too many big pass plays, too many broken coverages, and so that was something they definitely had to work on. But what have we seen here today? We've seen a lot of big pass plays with some broken coverages, and I'm sure Mike Bobo and his staff aren't going to be pleased with that.
Of course, the rules are skewed somewhat for the offense when you can't touch the quarterback. Slant pass for the end zone. It's batted away and incomplete. Sean Johnson in coverage there. Pass intended for Williams, Xavier Williams. And we'll get a second down play coming up. That play took all of 3 seconds. Deron Thompson in the backfield with Coleman Key. Key is quarterback the green team, or make it the gold team all the way. Nick Stevens with the green team all the way in this first half. Rush on, and Key throws for the end zone and overthrows the intended receiver, Robert Ruiz. And if this had been a real game, an outside linebacker coming from the right, from Key's left, would have potentially leveled the quarterback. Funny, you see these guys blitz, and they get into the quarterback, and all they want to do in a regular season game is knock that quarterback down. And here, of course, they get through, they're in, and they can't touch the quarterback. 20 seconds to go, first half. Key in the pocket. Key rolls right, now throws for the end zone, nobody there. Double coverage on Williams. Had him covered like a blanket at the goal line at the hash mark on the right. And a field goal opportunity here now with 15 seconds to go.
Yeah, you're not going to see too much blitzing on a day like this. You didn't see a lot of blitzing last week at Dove Valley, but they still will mix in the blitz just to give the offense and the offensive line a few different looks to make sure they can work on their blitz coverage and blitz pickups. But certainly when you have a sitting duck back there that can't be touched, I mean, it isn't worth it to throw out a lot of blitzes if you're Tyson Summers and the defensive staff.
Hunt holds. Garcia kicks. 32-yard attempt on the way. Hash mark on the left, and he's got it. So put 3 more on the board for the goal team with 12 seconds, 11 seconds. Now they're just going to let the time expire. Let time expire here in the first half. So we've come to halftime of the spring game, green and gold, and the green leads the gold, 24-20. Teams leaving the field just for a bit, and we'll get the opportunity to hook up the coach and have Marty Cesario grab him, and we'll get the thoughts from Mike Bobo on what he saw out there in the first half of play, but plenty of offense. And, of course, we're used to seeing offense. And the question is, can that defense be a lot better this year? Marty, I believe, has the coach. Let's go downstairs to them.
Coach, what are you evaluating out there in the spring game? What are you seeing?
Well, I'm seeing a lot of guys make plays. I think both quarterbacks are playing well and getting it to the right guys. Defensive is playing a little bit of bend, not break. We got to do a better job of covering guys. There's too much space on passes, but both teams are playing hard. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to come out and finish.
The receivers seem to be at least making splash plays. Why are they performing so well?
Well, we have a good group of receivers. I know Richard is not playing right now, but we've got some quality guys that have made plays all camp, and each day they've gotten better and better. Coach Whitted has done a nice job with them. I made a statement last night in the staff meeting. We're starting to get it to understand offensively what we're doing, and I hate it's the end of spring. But hopefully it'll give us some confidence to build on throughout the summer and the fall camp.
We're all waiting for the expectations in terms of the quarterback. We're coming from Garrett Grayson into these two young guys. What are the strengths you're seeing, now that we're in spring game here halfway through from Cameron Key and Nick Stevens?
Well, Coleman has a very strong arm and has the ability to make plays down the field, as does Nick. Nick's probably in tune to what we're trying to do a little bit more, but both have improved all throughout camp. And it's going to be interesting to see when we come back in fall who makes the biggest jump this summer on their own. So I'm excited about it. The big thing is, like you mentioned, they're replacing Garrett Grayson, who is an All-American Mountain West Player of the Year, but they got to try to be who they are. They can't try to be Garrett Grayson. They can't try to be Mike Bobo. They got to be who they are and let their strengths come out.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach. Appreciate that.
All right, good to hear from the coach, and the point he made is one we made in the first half of play. If you look upon this and you're trying to be the quarterback of this team and you're Stevens or Coleman Key, and you think to yourself, boy, oh boy, how do I become Garrett Grayson? That's going to be almost impossible. It's going to take some time, and hopefully one of these guys will be the next Garrett Grayson, but you've got to pretty much play to your strengths and maybe let the game come to you a little bit, wait till it slows down, and start to see what you're able to do best. And both certainly had their moments in the first half. It's fun to watch these two guys.
Yeah, and Mike Bobo telling Marty there really what he's talked about the last few weeks here of camp, that as Nick Stevens kind of understands the offense a little bit better, knows where to go with the ball a little bit better right now than Coleman Key, but certainly nothing has been decided. And it's a point, I think it's a salient one that Mike Bobo said, and he said it a bunch, saying, listen, one of the big factors in this quarterback race is going to come down to what these two young men do from following this practice to when fall camp starts in August, the summer. How do they use their summer? How much better do they get? How much more in tune with the offense that Mike Bobo and Will Friend are trying to institute here at CSU? Much more familiar are they going to become? So, again, it's going to be one of the key stories, one of the big stories coming into the fall season. Who is going to quarterback Colorado State for that season opener against Savannah State? Now, and I'll also say this, Gary. This is one of those situations where it's a good thing, I think, that you're opening up at home against Savannah State rather than opening up in an NFL stadium against the University of Colorado. Get an opportunity, whoever wins that job, to go up against a 1AA team that has really been down in recent years, to be heavy favorites, chance to kind of get a feel for the collegiate game before getting into the contest with Minnesota and Colorado.
And one other thing about these Rams, and that is that Mike Bobo, and he told me earlier today, we did it both ways, but most recently at Georgia, had a couple of great running backs. They ran for 255 yards a game. Rams last year averaged about 160 yards a game. So I expect that the Rams are going to run the ball more than maybe we're used to having seen them run, certainly last year when they didn't have Capri Bibbs. And the point being, it's not all going to be on the quarterback. This team is going to be expected to be able to run the football. It's one of the identities they want to have. It's what they want to do in the fourth quarter. And when Mike was telling me that this morning, I thought back, and you'll remember the glory days of the Broncos. The point he made was, we want to be able to run the football in the fourth quarter of games when the other guys know we're going to run the football, which is exactly what the Broncos did back in the good old days with Terrell. They would wear a team down, get them to the fourth quarter. They'd have the lead. It was time to kill the clock, and the other team couldn't do anything about it, even though they were going to run the football. And I'm not sure that Mike would, he certainly is old enough. He probably would watched that team some, but at least for those of us around here, at least for me, when I heard that, it reminded me back of the Broncos in the late 90s, the ability to run the football when the other guys know you want to run it, and you're still capable of doing it.
Right. And of course, they had Terrell Davis at running
back.
That's
true.
A guy from the University. Well, that too, but a guy
Terrell
from the University
Davis,
of Georgia.
Yeah.
Mike Bobo did cross paths with Terrell down there in Athens, Georgia. And just because this is a team that's going to line up in the shotgun primarily, and just because they're never going to huddle primarily, doesn't mean that they're not going to be a power football team.
Were you surprised we saw Stevens under center as much as we did in the first half?
Well, and I talked to Will Friend, the offensive coordinator, about that last week. I said, "Will you give me percentages?" He goes, "It's tough to put percentages. We'll probably be in the shotgun more, but that doesn't mean we'll be exclusive from the shotgun." But yeah, they talked about toughness, and Will Friend told me, he goes, when I really went to study Colorado State, when Mike was coming here, he was asking me if I'd be interested. I started trying to do my due diligence, look at Colorado State, the history. He said, I knew about Colorado State back in the Sonny Lubick days. He said, I followed the program. They were on ESPN all the time. I was a player at the University of Alabama. I saw them. And he said, as I looked at the history of Colorado State football from when they were good and when they struggled, he said the number one thing to me that stood out more than anything was the toughness factor at Colorado State. When Sonny was here, he had tough players. He had guys like Greg Myers, guys like John Howell, guys like Tim Stuver, guys like David Anderson, Bradley Van Pelt, guys that were just tough. And he said Jim McElwain kind of brought that back. And he says our number one job here, bringing kids into the program and in teaching kids how we get it done here, is toughness. And so if you're going to run the football with the lead late in the game when the defense knows you're going to run, the only way to do it is by being tough.
Yeah, and that was another great point I thought Bobo made this week as they looked at the game film from last year. And I think they looked at it and they viewed it and they were dispassionate about it. They weren't involved. They could be objective. And they looked at games like Boise. We all understand Boise dominated the Rams that night until late in the game when the Rams got a couple of touchdowns. But take the Utah State game. The Rams found a way to win, and that was one thing that Mac was able to do and the previous regime did very well. They were able to find ways to win, and they were gamblers, and they did things on fourth down, and they took some chances. But that night, if you'll recall, Utah State sacked Garrett Grayson, I believe 9 times. They did physically manhandle the Rams. Last year, not the year before last, when we were in Logan, they shut out the Rams. Again, a dominating physical performance by Utah State. And I think Bobo and his staff looked at that and said, you know what? Over the long haul, you might win some games when you're physically manhandled, but it's not the formula for victory. And that's why we heard Bernard Blake, we heard Capri Bibbs with Marty talk about changing the mindset, understanding you've got to be more physical on both sides of the ball to consistently win and to really exert your will and assert your will on other teams. And that is certainly what Bobo and his staff are going to try and do.
Yeah, and their challenge is not as nearly as big as what Jim McElwain's challenge was 3 years ago. And again, he was taking over a program that went back-to-back years of 3-9. And so Jim and his coaching staff, again, what they have done here at Colorado State, start to change that mindset, start to change that culture. And how many games were the Rams out physical in the first year? Well, certainly over half. Second year, maybe right around 5, 6. Maybe last year, 3.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Boise
right,
State,
yeah.
and then Utah State was physical, but Colorado State was physical in the defensive end, and then of course the bowl game against Utah, where there was a lot of mitigating factors that went into that. But so what you see is Colorado State was a more physical team in 33% of the games, maybe the first year, and 70% of the games in year number 3. So we've already seen that toughness factor start to come back. So Mike Bobo's, his staff are just trying to continue to implement that. But Gary, you've seen these coaches and this coaching staff. They walk around the practice field with an intensity that even supersedes what Jim and his staff were doing. Now there are some holdovers. Obviously Marty English being one of them, but man, the intensity of this coaching staff down there on the field.
Oh, a 34-year-old defensive coordinator who had the number 5 defense in the country. He's going to be intense.
There is a young energy in this coaching staff that I think, and that doesn't mean it's better than the previous coaching staff. You hope it is. As a
Different.
Colorado State
Yeah.
fan, it's different,
Yeah.
but the energy and the difference in energy, not to say that the last staff was laissez-faire, they weren't, but it's palpable. It's pretty clear, and it's just the type of coaching style that Mike Bobo has, Will Friend has, Tyson Summer has. It's the type of coaches that Mike has gone out and has handpicked to come be a part of his staff, and you hope that translates.
Well, I'll say very impressive. Today you've said palpable and salient. you have brought your A game to the spring game.
I am channeling the late Todd Christensen to come up with as many big words as I can possibly come up with, and that's about the extent of it.
Well, again, these broadcasts we hope are not only entertaining and informative, but educational, and we're trying to help the youth of America.
Well, I remember last year I had mentioned the word to Jim on the post-game show. I said, it looks like there was a sense of equanimity out there for your
talked
team.
about that Eastern Washington
right.
education.
Stopped him dead in his tracks. He goes, man, you can't use words like that with me. I went to Eastern Washington.
All right, we are at halftime. Green team leads the goal 24-20. Because of other broadcasting obligations, we're going to be signing off shortly before 1 o'clock today. Teams are coming back on the field to start the second half. We'll take a break, come back, and carry you up until just about 1 o'clock. And we'll do that in a moment. As we say, the Green leads the gold at the half, 24-20, from Learfield Sports on the Colorado State Sports Network. the end zone. Jacobs just showing that he can do that. And now we'll come out here to start the second half of play. And Craig Leonard will get a shot to quarterback the gold team out there with the second teamers. So Craig playing for the first time. He is a redshirt junior from Fort Collins, went to Fossil Ridge High School, 6'4", 215 pounds. He lines up under center. Little play action. They were lined up in the eye. Throws out of the backfield and overthrows the intended receiver at the 35-yard line. So that pass intended for Deontay Gaines was overthrown by Craig Leonard, who rolled to the right and put a little bit too much air under that one, setting up a second down and 10, just underway in this second half. Leonard now out of the shotgun. Rams will seldom, if ever, huddle. Inside handoff, and this one's going to get to the 25, maybe the 26-yard line before the defense puts a very quick stop to that one.
Yeah, we're starting to see some of the third-teamers and fourth-teamers out
Lewis
there.
was carrying on that one. That's Jonathan Lewis, redshirt freshman from LaPorte, Texas, 5'11", 190 pounds.
Still some players out there noticeable without your roster, but not many.
Not easy. Some of these guys not on the roster. But Lewis is the...
Then there's that.
Lewis is lined up in the backfield alongside Leonard, who makes a one-hand catch of the snap. Pump fakes, steps out of the pocket, and they blow the play dead as he gets past the initial line of scrimmage. And that'll set up a punting situation again. Doing everything they can to minimize injuries. We have seen a couple of injuries in the game. Kevin Davis, linebacker, shaken up earlier. And we, again, don't know the extent or exactly what the situation is, but you keep your fingers crossed. And defensive lineman Jacob Buys also shaken up earlier in the game. Again, the punts are not live either. So we have a punter back inside the 5-yard line. Just the punt team on the field. And his line drive end over end is going to bound around midfield, and Hansley stays away from the ball. And now it'll be the green team to take over for their first offensive series of this half, and we'll see who the quarterback is. Stevens quarterbacked the green team the entire first half. Mike Bobo told us that we would see some of Coleman Key with the first team in this game. Haven't seen it yet, and Stevens will continue. Check me now. It's going to be Leonard out there to quarterback also the green team.
Yeah,
so Craig Leonard getting a shot.
Yeah, he's going to get another shot here, and this time he's going to be playing with the first team offense.
Yeah. So Leonard out there now.
A lot of the first team offense.
Yeah, from the 46, play action. And Craig throwing deep down the right side, and a catch made along the sideline and quickly forced out of bounds was the receiver at the 15-yard line. Is that Joe Hansley? Sure is. Joe Hansley, who had 6 catches in the first half, flying down the sideline and making a fine catch over the shoulder at the 15-yard line. Craig Leonard on the money, and the ball all the way to the 15-yard line. Leonard now gives it to Eric Williams, off left tackle to the 10, and a flag thrown on the play. And that's generally a holding situation, and that is the indication we get from the umpire. So the penalty being called here against the green team. And that's going to take them back to the, outside the 20, to around the 25-yard line with 9:56 to go in the third. Leonard, the quarterback, and Craig in the pocket, looking for the end zone, throwing a slant over the middle. Oh, that's a fine pass and a catch by Deontay Gaines and a touchdown. Boy, that's some patience there by Craig Leonard, wasn't it? Waiting for Deontay Gaines to clear the linebacker and hit him right in stride around the 7-yard line and broke it right toward the post for the touchdown. So Craig Leonard with the first team offense just threw a strike for a touchdown.
Yeah, and how about Deontay Gaines? He's going to be a guy you really want to keep your eyes on. Last year, Jim McElwain able to use him in the kick return game, and then really offensively, I think he caught 8 or 9 balls. In fact, caught 9 balls last season. Most of those were on kind of the wide receiver type screen plays where Colorado State was trying to utilize his speed, but Gaines is a kid who I think is going to get a real legitimate shot to make his mark offensively, and we heard head coach Mike Bobo tell Marty Cesario there at halftime. It's a pretty darn good wide receiving core we're seeing out here today, and that doesn't include an All-American in Rashard Higgins.
So that makes the score 31-20 for the green team. And again, because of other broadcasting commitments, we'll be leaving 105.5 in just a few minutes. But continuing on the stream, Brian, where is that stream?
CSURams.com/video. You can watch the stream here of the spring game. Get the video and the silky smooth voice of Gary Miller. It's a good day when you can get that. Is there videos, right? /videos. Thank you,
plural.
Bob Greenfield. Yeah, videos.
Kickoff there, played about 2 yards deep, and again, the play blown dead.
We need to get a booth cam up here as well so folks can
I'm not really sure that's
see
necessary.
You work.
I think folks saw me for too long when you come right down to it.
They want to hear the silky, smooth sounds of Gary Miller and then see your hair, too.
Oftentimes through the years, people told me they'd actually seen too much of me.
Your wife being one of them?
Well, that's for sure. 25-yard line now. It'll be the gold team taking over. And we'll see how they do against some of this first-team defense in there for the green team. Signals called. Nick Stevens back in there. And Nick throws it on the far sideline, wide open out of the backfield, over the 40 to the 42 or 43-yard line, as that pass was caught by Jonathan Lewis. Now let's check me on the receiver on that one. Ball actually caught by Deron Thompson. Stevens to throw in the pocket, throws this way to Thompson. He makes the catch, 40, 45, running hard along the sideline to the 50-yard line. All right, we are just a few seconds away from saying goodbye to you on 105.5. Thank you much for being with us as we leave you in the third quarter. The green leads the gold, 31-20. And Brian will next join everybody on September 5th, Savannah State.
Yeah, Savannah State and Colorado State is not going to leave the state of Colorado until the fourth game of the year when they travel down to San Antonio to take on UTSA.
All right, so thank you to Ram fans. Join us on the stream if you can, and we'll follow along the action here at Hughes Stadium. For this afternoon, from Fort Collins, for Brian Roth and Marty Cesario, I'm Bob Greenfield. Gary Miller, thanks for being with us, and enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Thanks, Johnny. Call. We can do a television call, Brian, so we don't have to call everything as we normally do on the radio. Hand off, and on this near side, pickup of about 2 or 3 yards there. Pierre Copeland making the tackle.
You know, go back to Deron Thompson, the now true sophomore out of Wichita. Were you surprised that Jim McElwain pulled the red shirt off him last season?
Yeah, I think at the time, to be honest with you, I can't exactly remember the circumstance. I think it might have been a case he had some banged-up guys. Odin might have been banged up, and there was a chance they might have needed a running back, and they were having a great year, and they elected to do that. Stevens on a slant, and that pass is incomplete for Xavier Williams. And Xavier, I think, might have heard a footstep or two.
Yeah, again, Deron Thompson, he's a kid who has a ton of speed, 100-meter champion in the state of Kansas his senior season. And just still needs to get a little bit bigger. That's one of the things last year. Again, play running back as a true freshman. It's not easy to do, but I'd like to see him get bigger, see if he can challenge to get some more significant carries here in the fall of 2015.
Third down and just about 8. Stevens throws over the middle, and it's through the hands of Williams, who was popped as he got his hands on the football, and the ball fell harmlessly incomplete. And that's a tough situation for a receiver going over the middle. And Colorado, Evan Colorado, was right there to make sure Williams wasn't going anywhere, and we have a shaken up Ram on the play.
Yeah, that was Ruiz who got popped right there at the end of the play trying to make the catch. And hey, listen, the defender could have hit him harder than that as well. We've seen a few defenders lay up, pull up a little bit on big hits like that when they're going into a defenseless receiver that Saturdays in the fall, they're not going to let up on. There was a play earlier in the contest, a fade pattern down the near sideline for Joe Hansley that Trenton Matthews was coming over from a safety spot, and had it been a regular game, Matthews would have lit him up. Certainly gone low. You don't want to go to the head area that I think players across the nation are starting to realize, but certainly could have blown up Hansley. But obviously, you're not going to do that in the spring game.
Robert Ruiz able to trot off. He's okay. And we get a punting situation. Hayden Hunt will do the honors. Hayden has been a good punter for the Rams, second in the Mountain West last year, averaging almost 44 yards a kick. Redshirt junior out of Long Beach, angling for this near corner, and Hansley is going to grab the ball at the 10-yard line and step immediately out of bounds. So that's a very effective kick, using the sidelines as a potential tackler. And you have a guy running toward the sideline, making the catch, and his next step is going to be out of bounds. So a good kick by Hayden Hunt.
And first-team offensive line going to come back out. You see a lot of familiar numbers and faces out there. That's one of the areas that a new quarterback is going to be helped greatly by, is a very experienced offensive line. See Carlson, Zerblis out there, Callender, O'Brien centering. It'll be interesting to see what the center position looks like next year with Jake Bennett coming back.
Key under center gave it off to Dawkins, and he was hit and downed and tackled with a little bit of oomph on the play there, as breaking through for the goal team was Isaac Prudhomme.
And I believe this is the first time that Coleman Key has worked with the number one offense here today.
Out of the I formation, here comes Dawkins again, tripped up before he can get to the line of scrimmage. And that's Corey James making the stop. And Corey, with 22 career sacks, redshirt senior from Del Rio, Texas, 6 feet, 240 pounds. And Corey able to shed his blocker and knock down the ball carrier back to the 18-yard line. So 3rd and 12 with 7:10 to go in the third quarter. 31-20 for the green team. Key takes the snap out of the gun, throws on the far sideline. It's a little bit short. It's incomplete. That pass intended for Cole Anderson. And good coverage there, Nick Januska in coverage for the defense. Let's go downstairs to Marty.
Guys, I've got someone special with us. It's kind of an interesting transition. She's, a lady who bleeds green and gold. Haley Thompson was with us, former women's basketball player for the CSU Rams. It's been a while since you've been hooping, but now you're a member of the staff. And can you describe your role now with Colorado State?
Yeah, so I work for Ram Sports Properties right now, which is the third-party multimedia rights holder for CSU. So, in short, I do corporate sponsorships and fulfillment of those sponsorships, but overall, pretty much I just get to see all the background information that's happening behind game day, all the work that goes into game day production, and what it takes to keep this athletic department moving.
I thought it was interesting. I mean, you're a former student athlete, and now you're doing this. You're a big cheese. You're corporate now. What are the challenges, or what are kind of the interesting things as you make that move from, being on the court to now being behind the scenes at the sporting events?
I think the biggest adjustment for me was I was thinking with my time commitment during college that once I get into the real world, I'll get to pump the brakes a little bit and I'll be going 9 to 5 every day. But with this job in particular, you're 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, plus all your weekends, plus evenings, depending on the season. So it's way more time consuming than I thought. But then again, it's fun stuff. I'm watching games on the sidelines and kind of still right in there. So.
That's kind of the stuff we joked about. You really had no idea how much work goes into these events.
Not at all. I mean, when you're an athlete, you're focused on game day, you're planned for game day, and everything that happens in bounds. And you're focused on everything but besides what happens in bounds when you're in my position. We're here, 6 hours early for a football game, and we've got all the production stuff happening outside that players don't even really recognize when they're in the moment of the game.
We respect your opinion as an athlete. You've got that kind of cred. What do you see from this football team, the culture with the coaching change? What's your perspective with that?
It's been awesome to be able to see this transition. I mean, they're a much tougher team, I would say. They're really physical. From what I've seen here today, they're playing every play hard. I know Coach Bobo stresses finishing everything, so it's been cool to be out here on the field. I wasn't able to make it to Dove Valley last week, so I was anxious to see the progress that we made over spring ball.
Thank you so much, Haley. It's cool to visit with you.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
appreciate that. Translated to basketball, this team's not afraid to go down low in the post and bang away, right?
Nick Stevens making that pitch, and the catch made by Xavier Williams along the sidelines. The officials conferring, and then they say it was wound up being intercepted. So one of the defenders able to step in there and grab the ball away from Williams, and they call it an interception.
Well, Williams came down with the football as the two players were falling out of bounds. I believe it was Sean Johnson, the sophomore out of Denver South High School, and when the two players came down out of bounds, Sean Johnson had it. If you're going to call that an interception, I don't know how in the world Johnson would have had possession of the football and still have been in bounds.
Can you call it a completion and a fumble?
Well, they were out of bounds when it happened, though. I just don't. Well, again, it doesn't really make a difference, and of course they're not going to review anything. But that's one of those where the officials looks to me to be in some spring football mode as well.
Treyas Gerald's the ball carrier to the 16-yard line.
Never got to look at it though in the jumbotron either. Fine play, though. Sean Johnson, saw him play a little bit last year in that defensive secondary, and he's another one of those guys who really wants to step in and try to fill in some of the shoes that were vacated by Bernard Blake.
Yeah, a kid like Preston Hodges, we haven't seen much of him today, but he also was impressive last year. Gerald spun around as he got to about the 16. Trent Matthews from his safety spot up there to make the stop on the play. They'll spot it at the 17-yard line, so it's 3rd and 7.
I think the defensive secondary, too, Gary, is going to be, I think, one of the strengths of this team. Obviously, you have the two senior safeties who have played in a ton of big games. But bring back DeAndre Elliott, bring back Kevin Nutt Jr., who I thought played well as a true freshman last season. Tyrese Simmons having one of the best springs of anybody out there as well.
Key on a slant for Hansley, broken up by Saladin McCullough. And McCullough, who has had his problems today with Hansley, able to break up that one. And a 4th down play. And again, punting, not what we're used to seeing. But this is the way they're doing it in the scrimmage. How about this weather, Brian? I mean, we have clouds to the south of us. Kind of a lot of blue sky to our north. Sunshine on the north side of the field. Hayden Hunt kicking, and he booms this one. And that's Ruiz going back to the 23-yard line to make the catch. And the green offense, or check me, the gold offense will come out.
Now, based on what we've seen over the last couple days, weather-wise, I think Mike Bobo and the coaching staff are pretty pleased the way this thing turned out. Saw some rain spit down earlier in the day. A lot of overcast skies, but we have seen the sun peak out as it is right now. And you just never know with the spring weather. And, of course, you look at the University of Colorado with their head coach Mike McIntyre. Their spring game was nearly a month ago, and you're really rolling the dice with the weather when you do that.
Running back is Jonathan Lewis. This is the gold offense on the field, and Nick Stevens going to play a little bit with them. And Nick in the pocket steps up, and they blow it dead as he carries to the 44-yard line. Gain of a couple, setting up a 2nd down and 8. 3:34 to go, 3rd quarter. As we wrap up spring ball here in Fort Collins, the next time the Rams take the field, it'll be August. And summer camp and getting ready for the start of the real season. Stevens throwing on a slant, ball caught, and a forward roll there. Nicely done by Robert Ruiz, showing his athleticism. You don't see many receivers able to do that. Made the catch, was hit, did a forward roll to kind of cushion his fall. Ruiz is a redshirt sophomore, El Cajon, California's hometown. 5'9", 170 pounds. Play action, Stevens in the pocket. Stevens rolls right, now forced to throw it away on that far sideline. Colorado was after him. And so was Ohini Genie.
Yeah, they're actually going to call him down all the way back at the 46-yard line, so they'll give Colorado the sack on that.
Evan Colorado out there getting a shot. Deontay Clyburn playing one of the linebacker positions. And Josh Watson out there. And Watson, number 55, has been very impressive so far in spring camp. Stevens throws over the middle, and there's nobody there. And we've seen that a couple of times with receivers and quarterbacks not quite on the same page. Looked like Stevens expected Xavier Williams to break that one back toward the sideline from the hash instead of continuing over the middle.
Yeah, Williams thought he was running the post. Stevens thought he was running the corner. And yeah, you're right. We have seen that a handful of times, to be expected here in spring football with the new offensive system being implemented.
Screen pass to Lewis. Not much blocking on 3rd and 17. Upended by Sean Johnson. Or check me now. Actually, it was Demontre Taylor making the tackle. And with 1:24 to go, another one of those punting situations. Well, Mike Bobo's era starting, and we're all looking forward to it. And he's a confident young coach getting the opportunity he has been waiting for. Not easy, moving the family from Georgia. I know that I don't believe the family's here yet. He spent most of his life in the state of Georgia. So quite a step for him and his entire family. I believe triplets and at least one other child. 2 other children.
Yeah, Mike Bobo.
So what is your problem? You had twins and
right,
you only have one other?
Right. I have 4-year-old twins at home, and I think at times the world is coming to its end.
Yeah.
With the amount of clutter and just sheer madness going on in my house. Mike Bobo telling me back in December, right after he got hired, at one point, okay, see if you can wrap your head around this.
Probably not.
At one point, Mike and his wife had 5 kids in their house under 3 years old.
That's beyond belief.
5 under 3. Yeah. Now, he had some help, all right? Mom and Dad were around, and they had some other help, but 5 kids under 3. Wow.
Coleman Key in there, takes the snap over the middle. Jordan Vaden's got it on the slide, making the catch out at the 44-yard line, and a quick first down for the green team offense.
Jordan Vaden's made a couple of nice plays, had that touchdown catch earlier in the first quarter where had to go up in the air, extend and stab it out of the air. It was a beautiful catch. And Jordan Vaden, again, another one of those guys trying to get some more playing time in the fall.
Key throwing deep, and it's batted away. Knocked down in the secondary. Pass intended for Gaines, I believe. And the defender able to get a big right hand up there and knock the ball away, and it's incomplete. This is 2nd down. They try the right side, and the defensive line is going to stand them up. So the left side of the defensive line beats the right side of the offensive line. Final minute of play in the 3rd, 31-20 for the green team.
Yeah, we talked about all the talented wide receiver Colorado State's going to have. And again, Rashard Higgins tweaking a hamstring a couple weeks ago. The staff has been very cautious with him. Certainly hasn't played in the last 2 weeks, and they weren't going to play him here today. But let's also throw in there Kevon Cartwright. Hopefully he's going to be back coming up in the fall.
Yeah, the hope is he hasn't had some kind of setback. We do know that Kevon unable to play yet. We'll keep our fingers crossed that he is ready to play when summer comes around.
Yeah,
Did you see a sack? Was that actually a sack?
Technically, it was a sack, yes.
A gentle sack. Almost as gentle as Strahan sacking Favre, for the record.
Right, that's right. Stage sack. But, you think about Cartwright, and again, granted the 6th year of eligibility by the NCAA, but the medical hardship. how healthy is he going to be? And will he need surgery again on that ankle? That question has been floated around amongst those of us who cover Colorado State University. But if he's able to come back and be healthy, he was an all-conference player 2 years ago. Stephen Walker, an all-conference player last year, catching 30 balls. Pretty good 1-2 punch at the tight end spot with Stephen Walker and Kevon Cartwright. And then you throw in the wide receiving core. And again, it goes back to this fact. Whoever plays quarterback for Colorado State is going to have some help. They don't have to have the entire offense on their shoulders and have to go out there and make plays each and every time. You're going to have a lot of help.
Third quarter in the books, 31-20 after 3, the green team leading. Now, chances are we're not going to see that much two tight end sit-ups as we have in the past if the Rams are going to use the fullback that they seem intent on using. What percentage of the time, we don't know, but we are going to see a fullback more than we have in the past. Of course, we've seen the H-back, which in essence was a fullback, so maybe we're just talking semantics here.
Yeah, and one of the position changes here this year was new Uvale Fa'apito, who has seen some time, limited albeit at the linebacker spot. But then, of course, didn't see a lot of time last year, played mostly special teams in New Uvale with a new coaching staff here in the spring, making the change over to offense. And Mike Bobo's brought his name up on a handful of occasions, saying he just has that toughness, that kind of edge you need if you're going to be a fullback. You know, it's one of those thankless jobs. You think back to the days of the Broncos. You brought them up earlier with Howard Griffith, one of the all-time best. I mean, a guy that's not going to get a lot of the glory, but a guy that's certainly pivotal in what the offense does.
Yeah, and they down at Dove Valley also going back to using a fullback. We haven't seen a fullback in years. 1st and 10 for the Gold. Nick Stevens quarterbacking them. Play action. And out of the backfield, and that's Danny Wosu bouncing off a tackler over the 30 to the 32-yard line. So Danny showing some power. And it's a funny deal. You know, you don't want anybody to get hurt. You're keeping tackling to a minimum, but it still is football. And from time to time, you're going to see hits like that one.
Now the defense, after, and again on both sides, after giving up a lot of points in that first half, they have both come back and played much better here in the second half.
Defense playing very well on that play. Stopping the ball carrier for a loss of a yard or two. Defense able to break through and break that play up before it got going. And that's Preston Hodges at the bottom of the pile. And Preston was so impressive last year, playing a corner in there for DeAndre Elliott, who's injured. Preston out of Bakersfield, a junior now, 5'11", 200 pounds. Had 69 tackles last year. That's how impressive he was. Play action for Stevens. Deep down the right side. Has a man out there. Has his man in full stride. And that is going to be a touchdown. And on the receiving end for the green team was Trey Smith.
There's that track speed, Gary. We talked about it earlier in the broadcast. Trey Smith, one of the best tracksters in the state of Colorado 2 years ago as a senior at Douglas County High School. One of the top football recruits. Played running back in high school, moving him to wide receiver here. Going to be going into his redshirt freshman year. He's made a couple of plays here today.
Well, and actually that was for the gold team. Nick Stevens has been quarterbacking the green team all day, but switched to the gold team on that one. And that is a gold team touchdown. That makes the score 31-27. Extra point added there.
Not just as we start to heap some praises on the defense, saying that, boy, they have really tightened up a little bit. It's one of the things they gave up a lot of in the first half was the long pass. Gave up the long pass a lot last week in the 109-play scrimmage at Dove Valley. Now they had since were able to corral that a little bit. Not there. Yeah, it was just a beautiful pass from Stevens, put it right on the money to Trey Smith. Never broke his stride, and again has that good speed.
So with 10:55 to go, and the scoreboard giving us a look there at Garrett Grayson on the sideline. And boy, has Garrett's stock ever risen. And we understand he's just done a tremendous job, not only in his pro day here, but in all his individual meetings with teams. Throwing down the far sideline, Cole Anderson is wide open inside the 35, and he's to the 33-yard line. So Cole Anderson making the reception on that one. He has played so well this spring. And Cole able to grab that one from Coleman Key.
Wait, wide open.
Football to the 32-yard line. Key play action and lobbing on this near sideline. Anderson again inside the 5, beating McCullough on the play, setting up a 1st and goal. So Cole Anderson, who had been relatively quiet through much of the day, making his presence felt on the last 2 plays. And as we say, he has been very impressive this spring, making a bid to be one of the primary targets when the season starts. Inside handoff, Treyas Geralds, and look at him pick his hole and get into the end zone for the touchdown. Boy, Geralds looked like he was cut off, but he stopped on a dime and cut back the other way and able to score. And Treyas Geralds, who had 6 touchdowns last year, gets into the end zone for a green team touchdown with 10:18 to go.
Yeah, and that was against a lot of those first-team defensive guys as well, ones-on-ones for the most part right there. And remember, the game opened up with the number 1 offense opening 2 drives of the game going right down the field against the number 1 defense, and did it again right there. This time with Coleman Key leading that number 1 offense. Seen Stevens run with the number 2s a little bit here in this 4th quarter, and seen Coleman Key run with the number 1s.
All right, so the green team will come back out there. And we're mixing and matching with quarterbacks again. Nick Stevens is the quarterback. In case you missed it at the half, Stevens was 18 for 24, 233 yards and 2 touchdowns. Comes out under center. Wide receivers each way, a slot receiver on the right side. Play action. Stevens throws over the middle for Ruiz, and that was a dangerous play, and the official's going to throw a flag. There was contact. If this was a real game, Robert Ruiz might still be on the ground because he was very vulnerable on that pass over the middle.
Yeah, I think they're going to throw a flag for a shot to the head. It was more of a shoulder to the upper part of the body. I believe that was Jesse Haas, one of the defenders. Yeah, when the flag was thrown, you kind of understood what they thought they were seeing, but Haas, having this be a spring game, definitely led up to the end and kind of bumped into Ruiz. But you're right. If this is a real game on a Saturday in the fall, Ruiz is probably still in the turf.
Of course, on that play also, Stevens probably would have been sacked before he threw the ball. Nick throws out of the backfield, has Lewis along the sidelines over the 40, out of bounds at the 42-yard line. 1st down. Clock shows 9:26 to go, 38-27. Green team leading here, 38-27 over the Gold. Downstairs, Marty with a special guest.
Yeah, very special guest over the last couple of years. Quarterback Garrett Grayson, who's a very busy guy right now. Did you just walk into the stadium?
No, I've been sitting up top, just hanging out.
Big time. I got you. Okay. Hey, what are you seeing out there? You've done a couple of these spring games. What are you seeing with the players who will follow you as Rams?
No, I think they all look good. I think Nick Stevens is having a hell of a day. All receivers, Joe Hansley, specifically, I think they look good. I think it takes some time, obviously, to get the offense down and whatnot, but I really do think they look really good. So
when you mentioned Nick Stevens, what is it that he's doing that impresses you?
Just all of his timing, I think, has been on point today. I've been watching and all the timing routes, everything that you need. There's another one right there. I mean, he's just tearing it up. I'm happy for him.
Oh, that's perfect. How about the change in coaching regimes? You spent so much time with Coach McElwain building yourself into this awesome thing you are, but now it's Coach Bobo here. What are you seeing the differences?
I've talked to a bunch of the guys about him. They just said he's like the ultimate players coach is kind of what I've gathered. They said they're all happy he's here. They wouldn't want anyone else. So it's been kind of fun to hear about the inside scoop of everything. So
and then your future agenda. You got some big things coming up. Can you tell Ram fans what's up?
Yeah, I'm going back home. I'll leave next Monday, and then kind of hang out with the family. watch the draft and just kind of enjoy it. So
wait for your name to be called. Congratulations ahead of time. All right, thanks, Garrett. Appreciate that. Guys?
Hey, Marty, stay on the microphone there, right there.
Uh-huh.
Tell me your impressions when you were standing next to Garrett Grayson. He had the T-shirt on. What were your thoughts of him just physically?
That's kind of funny because I was trying to find him once he went up on the Jumbotron. I'm talking with guys that, we hang out with on the sidelines for seasons upon seasons, and they pointed to him, and I went, oh, he's thicker. He's filling out, and that's why I didn't recognize him. So that's very perceptive of you from up there. I mean, he's jacked. He's yoked right now. I think he's ready to join up with the NFL.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was getting at, Marty. I saw Garrett last week, had a chance to say hi to him down in Dove Valley. And Gary, I mean, I don't know how much you can change your body in 3 months. And Garrett was always a little thicker, and he was always put together. I mean, I almost took a step back when I saw him last Saturday. I had not seen him since Las Vegas, in the Las Vegas Bowl in the locker room, and he looks much, much bigger. I mean, it was really noticeable.
Yeah, apparently
First thing I noticed.
Yeah. Well, we saw a fine touchdown pass there thrown, and that makes it 38-34 as Stevens threw a beauty, and well, it was great timing with Garrett Grayson on the microphone at the time because he was talking about Nick's timing today, the way he seemed to have everything together running this offense, and he threw an absolutely perfect pass downfield. This pass off the hands of a lunging Jordan Vaden. It's incomplete. So Coleman Key can't get anything going with the offense that time, setting up a punting situation with 8:17 to go. What do you think, Brian? Rams going to have targets on their backs this year? They were 10-2 in the regular season last year. Frustrated a team like Utah State. I guess they always have a target on their back when they play a Wyoming team. But, they were a dominant team, and really the loss that really hurt the Rams, obviously at Boise, and then the heartbreaker at Air Force. But otherwise, what a wonderful season. And they really made their presence felt in the Mountain West last year, and I imagine teams are going to have long memories.
Well, I think Colorado State certainly is going to be one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the Mountain West Conference next year. I think a lot of folks around the conference looked at CSU as kind of an up-and-comer last year, a team that certainly you had to take seriously, but I think Colorado State maybe surpassed some of the expectations of maybe even their opponents last season, going 10-2 in the regular season and nearly winning the Mountain West Conference. Now, I don't think they snuck up on anybody, though, last year. I just think Colorado State was good. Had Garrett Grayson, Rashard Higgins, D. Hart on the offensive end, guys like Max Morgan, Aaron Davis on the defensive end. But certainly, there's no question, they have the respect of every single team around the Mountain West Conference here in entering 2015.
Second down and just about 16. Stevens, far sideline. Xavier Williams can't break away as he's tackled by Sean Johnson.
It should also be noted, too, Gary, that you lose San Jose State and Hawaii as 2 of those Western Division teams that you're playing in the next 2-year cycle, and you're adding San Diego State, a team that has gone to multiple bowls in recent years. And then, of course, Fresno State, who took a little bit of a step back last year, but certainly 2 programs that are on better footing than Hawaii and San Jose State. So the schedule gets a little bit tougher from that standpoint.
That pass incomplete for Sammy Long, setting up a 4th down play. And I think they're going to forego the punt and just let the Gold Team offense come out here.
With great games against Minnesota, Boise State, and the Rocky Mountain Showdown, this is a season.
Well, the weather's cooperated. We're happy to say that with 5:18 to go. Looked a little iffy there for a while. And we'll get a look at Coleman Key running with the first team right now. So Key, who has certainly played well at different times today, but Nick Stevens has been much of the show and really much of the story. Treyas Gerald is the running back. Pito in the offset eye, the fullback. wide receiver to the left side. And they give it off to Gerald. And Treyas has a blocker, looks to turn the corner, can't quite get there. McCullough, who's been involved in quite a few plays today, both good and bad for Saladin, tackled him at the 41-yard line.
Yeah, and good to see Treyas Gerald's back out there. Had a sprained ankle last week, sat out that scrimmage at Dove Valley, and Mike Bobo telling us this spring that perhaps there is no player on the offense that has a better grasp of the offense and what this offense is all about than Treyas Gerald's. And Treyas battled some injuries last year.
Yep. And he's been battling some injuries this spring, too. Key to Gerald's. Look at the cutback to the 45, maybe the 46-yard line. Before this green team defense put a stop to that with Steve O'Michael. Remember, the green team defense is the first team defense.
You know, now that spring ball is just about officially over, it's going to allow these coaches and the staff as a whole to kind of try to become human again, try to live lives a little bit again, because really it's been a whirlwind since Mike Bobo was hired. Then the coaches were hired in January, went right into recruiting season. Signing day comes along, then they're preparing to get everything ready for spring football. Spring football is here. That's all you do for spring football, and now you get a chance to breathe a little bit. And, you know, talking to a lot of these guys, a lot of them still out here without their families.
Yeah.
Tyson Summers still out without his family. Talking to Will Friend, Will Friend said his family moved yesterday. Finally had the whole family out here from Athens, Georgia, here as of yesterday. So, you know, a lot of these guys have been kind of living that nomadic lifestyle a little bit.
Including the head coach. 1st and 10 here. Here's Key looking to turn, or the handoff, and Gerald's can't turn the corner. Trent Matthews stopped him. And Trent, who plays so well and has done so for a couple of years for the Rams, making tackles today. No Kevin Pierre-Louis. He's banged up a little bit, so we didn't see KPL. 2nd and 11 when they get to this play. 38-34. Green leads the gold. That's the number one offense, the green team. The number one defense, the gold team. And here's Key on this near sideline. Pito Nuavali to the 43-yard line, downstairs to Marty.
Another one of the alums. Enjoyed watching him play so many years here in the green and gold. Max Morgan is with us here at Spring Game. Max, you know, now in your position, you're an alumni. You know, what do you look for in the green and gold game?
I'm just out here looking for guys with a lot of energy, trying to figure out who the playmakers are going to be next year. It's always good to watch the linebackers, you know, see who's going to step up. It's like Corey's having a pretty good day. But, yeah, just trying to see who our player's going to be.
What's Corey James going to do this year? What do you think? What do you expect from him?
Versatility. I see him. They got him all over the field playing inside. They're still going to use him for his pass rush abilities, I'm sure. But I expect big things out of him.
What do you expect from Coach Bobo and the new staff being here and taking over CSU football?
I expect them to keep it going. I hope they do. It seems like they're doing a really good job talking to the guys. They like what they have going on. Really excited for next fall.
How about you personally? I read the Bleacher Report article about life on the fringe. I thought it was outstanding perspective. You know, what were you trying to share with the rest of us about you and your position, trying to get another chance, whether it's NFL or at any level beyond college football?
Yeah, well, you get a lot of press coverage over guys who are going to be high draft picks, quarterbacks, those kind of things. But there is another side of it where there are guys like myself and the guys I was training with where you don't know what your future holds, but you love the game of football and you think you have some ability left and you want to give it all you can.
Why is it that we're going to see Max Morgan doing some special things once you get out of here and move on?
Well, hopefully everyone who's seen me play at CSU knows why. They'll see me doing great things, but I'm a hard worker and I bring a lot more than just field work to a team. So I'm pretty confident that I just need the shot and I can run with it.
I know what I watched. A guy who's a blue-collar linebacker in there, and then some running back turns the corner, and you chase him down, and he's surprised. Like, well, now you just found out what number 40 can do. Hey, best of luck to you in the future, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Max. Appreciate that.
Gerald's to the 25. Fun a moment ago to see Treyas Gerald's throw a pass to Joe Hansley.
A little bit underthrown. I don't think Treyas is in the quarterback derby with Coleman Key and Nick Stevens, but hey, he got it there. He completed it. 1 for 1 today.
2:08 to go and a timeout. They're going to play this out just as if it were happening in a regular season game, get into situations and see how players react. See on the scoreboard, there's Garrett Grayson in the center of some of the Rams and some of the former Rams.
I'm telling you, he looks bigger. It's noticeable, and I know it's hard to see from that point of view. But
it's remarkable in that, again, a couple of years ago, could he hold his job here and then, has a chance to be drafted. And then more and more, potentially drafted in the second round by, according to some of the experts, and a real shot. And it's just, it's really a great story. It's really a Cinderella story when you come right down to it. A guy coming from virtually out of nowhere.
Yeah,
who was not highly regarded a couple of years ago.
And he did the John Gruden quarterback camp.
Yeah, we got to see that on TV.
I believe debuted this morning at 10 a.m.
Yeah, they're going to run it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
You got to catch that. Yeah, Gruden's crazy. That's great stuff. That's great. That is great tell. That's what Gruden should be doing.
Right.
9-yard gain, bringing up a 3rd and 1 for the green team.
9 yards on the previous play, 3rd and 1. Key under center. We've seen a lot of Ram quarterbacks under center today. And that's going to be a first down. Dawkins carrying the ball. Dalen Dawkins, who's been very impressive this spring and figures to get a chance to be running the football some this fall. Redshirt sophomore, Louisville, Kentucky, 5'9", 180, and yes, Brian Dawkins' nephew. Clock rolls now. 38-34. Green team has the ball and the lead. And I guess bragging rights if they hang on to win. Key from the gun. Looks, throws, has Vaden. Boy, Jordan Vaden's a good-sized target, isn't he? We had a good look at that. And Vaden turned, used his body to screen off the defender, and held his hands out there, and it looked like an easy pitch and catch, at least from up here.
And again, you mentioned the word hands. That has really been the one thing over the course of his career that has really held him back. And again, he kind of went into that proverbial doghouse last year and really never made it out.
Can Dawkins turn the corner? He tries, gets to the 4-yard line. And they're going to step in and call time here prior to the 3rd down play. It's going to be a 3rd down and 3 from around the 4. Well, good number of Ram fans came out to check out their team today, have a little football in April. And this is going to have to hold everybody until August.
It's going to be here sooner than we know it will be, though, Gary. It always seems to sneak up on you. It's always a great time of year when you hit really late July, NFL training camps start going, and then you get into August, and college camps start opening, and there'll be a lot of excitement around Colorado State Ram football by then. And again, we had Joe Parker, new athletic director at Colorado State. By the time we get to next August, ground will have been broken on the new on-campus stadium at Colorado State.
Yeah.
A lot of great things on the horizon, no question.
I mean, it's been a wonderful year when you think of the football team in 14 and the basketball team and the women's basketball team, and, of course, the perennial powers with the volleyball team. So success coming on the fields and on the courts. That is a 4th down play coming up now. Clock is running with half a minute.
By the way, like some of the signees, Larry Eustace and his staff.
Oh, yeah. The last couple of days have been great.
Yeah, look at some of the highlight tape that C.J. Kaiser, the kid out of the state of Maryland playing prep school in Wichita. Talking about an athletic guard. Looking forward to watching him play coming up next year.
It's 4th and 1. And I think the defense is held. Well, the offense says it's a first down. Controversy on the final play, perhaps. Defense starts to leave the field. Looked initially like the D had held. Clock is stopped with 7 seconds. Yep, the defense did hold. See, you can't believe those offensive guys. I thought the defense had held, and they tried to mislead me there. Well, here's a key play, Brian. 7 seconds to go. 38-34. And a Hail Mary could potentially win this game for the gold team.
You know, I was interested to see how Mike Bobo was going to play out the spring game. And a lot of times you say, okay, there's 4 12-minute quarters. But oftentimes it doesn't get followed that way. You stop the game after 3 quarters. You say, hey, we're not going to do the 4th. But they're going to put 3 more seconds on the clock to show 10. I mean, Mike Bobo and his staff are playing this thing out to the very end.
Well, I'm not sure what those 3 seconds are going to mean in this situation, but we shall see. All right, all kinds of time, and Stevens lets it fly in the middle of the field. It's going to be intercepted, and they're going to take a knee, and the time has expired, and that is going to do it. So we're going to wrap things up. Thank you very much for hanging out with us on the stream this afternoon after a couple hours on the radio. Final score again, Green 38, Gold 34. Brian, we'll see you September 5th against Savannah State.
Can't wait.
Until that moment. Our thanks to Marty Cesario and Bob Greenfield for hitting all the right buttons. For Brian Roth, Gary Miller. Spring game is over, and the green team beats the gold 38-34. Have a great Saturday afternoon, everybody.
Because there's